most of this stuff now, you're just making it up out of thin air. It's just even worse because now it's not only that, we didn't find you entertaining, right? So we stopped reading because of that, but now we can't even trust.
Also, you know what is funny? They're always like about inclusion this, inclusion that. Meanwhile, they didn't have a fucking decent fucking translator that can read Chinese correctly and translate it to them. Is that funny? Is that funny? So you argue always about this whole like inclusivity and stuff, but IGN doesn't have a fucking translator that can speak Chinese. I think that's hilarious. Hypocrisy is crazy. People have been criticizing this game. Or, not really people. More like journalists are just, being morons and not understanding how game culture works and what gamers actually like playing. They just, like these game journalists, they can't play games. They're not good at playing games. They're also not good at journalism. Pretty much they're a waste of space. It's just like me, to be honest. Like, just a worthless YouTuber or YouTube or streamer, Pretty much just like me, right? But instead of, knowing and understanding that their opinions are irrelevant in the great scheme of things, they think their opinions matter, right? Because they get paid to write down bullshit opinions. So this is what this video is about. It's called Black Myth Wukong is a threat. A threat. Oh boy, a threat. Alright. We're watching this video, then we're hopping into the game. So, just so you know. Alright. Pop off, Mr. Legendary Drops.
Black Myth Wukong is one of the most anticipated games of this year. If you're anything like me, you're looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Absolutely.
I'm a big Souls fan to begin with, so I can't wait to get my hands on it. But with that said, it's also been a game that's had a lot of hit pieces ran on it ever since the game's reveal. Just recently, I ended up reading an article from The Guardian where they're going in and talking and parroting the same points.
I mean, you're reading The Guardian. What the fuck do you expect? Do you expect coherent and, like, mentally sane takes from the fucking Guardian? Like, I'm not even American and I know The Guardian is garbage.
That I've seen many other journalists say, and trying to paint the game in a bad picture, specifically trying to send the message that, hey, yeah.
They're just mad that there's a monkey game and they hate monkeys.
Looks like a good game, but, the developer doesn't say very nice things, and we probably shouldn't support them. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about the media's...
Really? Is that it? Oh, come on. Don't tell me that's it. Don't tell me they are going after the developers for whatever they did. Unless they did something scandalous, but if they were, I would have probably already heard of it.
His obsession with Black Myth Wukong, but more than anything, I want to talk about why they're obsessed.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard, Black Myth Wukong is blowing up before its release. The game is already the most wishlisted game on Steam, and just the other day, the benchmark tool brought in over 85,000 players at its peak. An optimization testing tool brought in more players, 40 times the amount of players as Sony's open beta of Concord.
Damn, that's a low blow. But those are low, those are low stats too, so I guess it counts.
Low blow, I know, but it'll become a little bit more relevant later on.
Said it.
With that said, Black Myth Wukong's developer Game Science likely has a breakout hit on their hands, and this is their debut title. But there are those that are out there that want to try and stand in its way.
Yeah, because they want to make money, they want to make hit pieces, they want to make hate comments, they want to make things that can gather engagement and make them money. They don't care about journalism, they only care about outrage.
Just a couple weeks ago, Tom Regan of The Guardian wrote an article titled Black Myth Wukong, the summer's most exciting and most controversial video game.
The most controversial video game? Are you kidding me? You said the last time you said that shit about the what is this game called with like the hot Korean woman with her ass and stuff. Yo, what's up, Loki? What's up? Something Blade. Come on, man. The most controversial video game. What, you're playing a monkey? Is that controversial now?
Beautiful looking action game is based on Journey to the West, the great Chinese novel, but its own journey to release has hit a bump in the road.
Okay.
Tom writes, after playing Wukong for an hour and a half in a London hotel suite, watched nervously by game science employees, I can confirm that, somewhat miraculously, this stunning Chinese...
Somewhat miraculously? Why is that somewhat miraculously?
mythological twist on Dark Souls delivers on that showy trailer. Marrying fluid-feeling combat and reflex-testing difficulty and the expensive filmic sheen of something like God of War.
Oh, this is gonna be a compliment sandwich, isn't it? Just chilling while we're watching. We're watching a video about the criticism surrounding Black Myth Wukong right before hopping in, so I know everything and see if the criticisms are actually correct, whether they are criticizing the game. But so far, they don't really criticize the game.
As I sprint through Wukong's dense jungle, ducking and dodging through a deadly array of flora and fauna, I come face to face with everything from gi-wearing toads to nightmarish gigantic-headed infants. Unlike many of its brutally challenging From Software-inspired peers, the difficulty in Wukong feels expertly judged. My simian avatar met a grisly end more times than I care to admit, but I persevered. Eventually, I defeated enough foes to unlock new abilities. Soon, I can perch atop my staff mid-attack, giving me an edge against its murderous mythological monsters. I can buzz around the forest as a stealthy cicada, summon flames from my glaive, and eventually topple a snarly, lorry-sized werewolf atop a crumbling temple. We're Under Great Pressure reflects one of Game Science's co-founders, who was introduced only as Ted. Game Science wouldn't give his full name via translator. This is the first time we have worked on a PC and console game, and we are also a new studio. So we really like to think how tolerant the players and the market is towards us. Their excitement encourages us.
I mean, if you make a good-looking game with, you know, promising gameplay, you're gonna get, you know, a lot of compliments. Like, it's not that difficult. We like games. We are gamers. So making a game that seems appealing and seems to function and seems to look really, really good, there's no room to complain, right? Why are there so many furries? Because they're animals. And they're not furries, alright? A lot of people make this misconception. Furries are people that put on a suit. Alright? These are entomorphical animals. Alright? Remember that. There's a difference.
However, the thinking of Chinese people tends to be, we look at the risks. And therefore, when we're faced with such great encouragement, the best thing we can do is to try our best to satisfy the expectations of the players and communicate with the players in a very honest way. China has dominated the mobile gaming market. You look at everything that HoYoverse has done, from Genshin Impact to Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail, Honkai Impact 3. These games have made a lot of money. They have a lot of players.
Yeah, you know why they make a lot of money? Because their fucking practices are predatory as shit.
And what they've done is they've actually paved the way for Chinese developers to be able to reach global markets, something that was relatively inaccessible for them in the past. And in that, I'm actually kind of surprised that we're not seeing more skepticism when it comes to a new studio that hasn't released a game before, that's releasing a AAA game that looks as good as this does, and it's coming from a country that we normally don't see a lot of games come from in the first place. But I think it's great that we are seeing that support, because...
No, I don't really get that. Like, we know so many indie developers that just have never made a game before or released a game to the public, and they just smash it. So why would there be skepticism? Like, why can indie developers not get criticism for it, but whenever there's a AAA studio doing it, and AAA literally means they have a bigger budget, that's literally the only thing that matters. So it's pretty much like the same thing outside of having more budget.
Because from my perspective, I just want to see more video games, and the more countries that are out there that are making them, the more diverse ideas and cool games that we can play, and that's what I'm all about.
I agree.
And to be honest, we haven't really even seen that many AAA games come from China in the first place. I think the only one that I can think of off the top of my head is like Rocket Blade Point. That's pretty much about it.
Never heard of it.
One of the things the developers...
Let me see. Chinese AAA games. Oh, would you look at Call of Duty Mobile, Call of Duty Online, Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. Okay, well, China have been making a lot of games, apparently, that are AAA. Marvel Rivals. Okay. Walking Dead Survivors. Okay, I don't know what that is. Rayman? Rayman came from China? Oh shit. Resident Evil, bro. What? Okay. Well, I guess there's a lot of AAA games coming from China. What the fuck?
Brought up was that they feel like they're under a lot of pressure, and I don't think people really understand or recognize just how much pressure that they're under. Because keep in mind, they have far more rules and restrictions that they need to follow before they can even try to ship a game outside of their country. And way more restrictions than Western studios have, that's for sure.
I think Western studios should have more restrictions. Not on freedom, right? Like, freedom of expression, I'm okay with. But I think there would be better restriction of, like, quality in games, quality in the storytelling, quality in the character designs and character, like, lore and stuff. Like, we need better quality in all of those. Because lately, all this is just, oh, look at these pretty graphics, and then that's the game. Like, I don't care about pretty graphics. If I want to look at something that looks nice, I'm gonna watch a movie. Like,
but with that said, you also have, clashes in culture and things like that. And I think what they've chose to do, especially with Black Myth Wukong, is just, well, emulate the success of another game and try to adapt their ideologies or their philosophies of game design into their game. And that's what Black Myth Wukong kind of represents to me. It's a smart idea. You're going to be able to hook up with a pretty large audience because a lot of people really like Souls games, especially after Elden Ring.
True.
So it's a great idea to be able to reach as...
I'm not really hating on Kai or anything like that. Or, what the fuck, hating. Praising Kai for it, but I do think it's correct. If he didn't play Elden Ring, and it didn't blow up as the way it did, I feel like a lot of people would have not gotten into Souls-like games.
As many players as you possibly can. But one of the other difficulties that they're running into is one that's completely unnecessary. And it's the fact that for some odd reason, there are a lot of Western critics that do not want to see this game get any level of success.
It's from China, and they hate China. Partly because of Trump, I'm not gonna lie.
Tom continues with his article saying, I am unfortunately met with very little honest communication when I bring up a report from IGN which related alleged sexist comments from multiple developers at Game Science as well as those in leadership roles.
You ignore it. Okay, there's alleged sexist comments. Who cares? You're IGN. You're not the law. You're not the, I don't know, some important figure. You're just IGN. And we all know what IGN does. IGN focuses more on drama than actual journalism. So why would they actually respond to this bullshit? Likely this is false. Anyways, like, it's probably like he said, she said kind of thing, you know?
I presented Ted with the opportunity to address those claims of misogynistic posts and whether he feels they represent Game Science's values. Instead, I am shut down with a hasty no comment from their UK PR representative and...
Smart. Because you shouldn't be entertaining these fools, bro. You don't entertain these clowns, I'm sorry. Just don't do it.
And then, after a long wait, given a longer statement of no comment via Ted's translator. I am then told that Game Science's US PR agency will follow up later with a prepared statement, only to be sent the following. Game Science is focused on the demo at this time and will only answer questions related to gameplay.
Correct! That's the best response they could have made. That's amazing. They're like, okay, well, you're a game journalist website. Why are you going after the developers for alleged sexism? Why aren't you not like journalism around our game, you know?
The same thing happened to an IGN reporter at a demo in Los Angeles last month. It is disappointing that Game Science is opting to invite journalists to speak to them and play the game, but refusing to answer their questions. Perhaps there is no reassurance to offer. A generous reading of the situation would be that this is an inexperienced studio petrified of saying the wrong thing.
No, they're actually the opposite. They don't give a shit. That's why they don't answer you. Because they're not trying to play into your self-imposed power that you have, or that you think you have over these studios. Just because you accuse someone of something doesn't mean they have to respond to said accusation. Unless you bring this to court. Don't people understand that?
Yet, in failing to say anything at all, Game Science is also failing to distance itself and its game from multiple crude, disparaging, and misogynistic comments attributed to its employees and leadership.
Okay, and what are said crude and disparaging misogynistic comments? Can we see those?
Journey to the West, of course, is no stranger to the world of video games. From Ninja Theory's 2010 Alex Garland penned and Andy Serkis starring Xbox 360 adaptation Enslaved: Odyssey to the West, to Akira Toriyama's world-conquering Dragon Ball, it's a world of myth and monkeys that lends itself perfectly to gaming. Black Myth Wukong's stunning visuals, cinematic beauty, and refreshing sense of speed could well make it the best playable adaptation of the fable to date. But the unreserved excitement I would otherwise feel about it is being trampled by the elephant in the room. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I cannot believe that they wrote this.
Elephant in the room. I heard you said sexist things. It's not about the game at all. It's about your personal problems.
The elephant in the room, huh? I would imagine the elephant in the room is the fact that the report from IGN was found to be heavily mistranslated and misrepresented.
Oh! Ooh, yikes.
Spreading misinformation about a studio either by the way of IGN's ignorance or their malice. The report that they mention is something that was parroted by almost every other gaming news site.
Yep, that's most of the time. They just see something. Oh, quick, go make an article. Send. What do you mean fact check? We don't fact check. We just fucking shit out this article and that's it. Who cares if it's incorrect? We could just apologize later. Or don't.
Headlines with this narrative ran wild since the reveal of Black Myth Wukong's trailer a few years ago, making sure that players know, yeah, the game looks cool, but guys, this is a very bad developer. This misrepresentation even led to Game Science's studio allegedly being vandalized by the people that were claiming to do it based on that news of the studio.
Ain't no way. That's insane.
Studio's quote-unquote sexist culture. Eventually, through social media, readers and critics pointed out the mistranslations. Hell, Asmongold's editor, Clip's editor, did a better job of reporting and investigating, showing all of the mistranslations.
Yeah.
Context. IGN published an article trying to smear the company and the devs behind Black Myth Wukong as some sexist freaks.
The snake spirit is different from what I imagined, but if I cover the bottom half with my hands, it's still possible to jerk off. Oh, based.
Because of some of their employees' social media posts. The article cites one of their artists who basically did the still wood meme about this monster. The problem is that this game journalist, either by sheer incompetence or malice, translated these posts in the most uncharitable way possible. And this is nothing compared to the most egregious mistranslation after one of the game company founders posted this in 2020.
I want to expand my circle and hire more people, get licked until I can't get an What? Wait, I want to expand my circle and hire more people? Get licked until I get an erect. I feel like that's terrible. That's terribly mistranslated, bro.
Apologizing for the lackluster trailer of Black Myth Wukong just released. Now, how on earth do you get?
I want to expand my circle and hire more people. Get licked until I can't get an erection.
In reality, the actual translation completely changes the meaning of what he was saying. Not satisfied, I went back checking if anyone called this out when it happened, and they did.
And ultimately, this all led
to...
In reality, the
I want to expand the circle and recruit a few more people, but licked to the point of being unable to get an erection. What? That still makes no sense in my opinion. What the But got licked to the point of being unable to get an erection? The phrase is used... Oh, it's a phrase, okay. It's used in the Chinese language as a colloquial expression. Used humorously or sarcastically to describe a situation where excessive flattery or sufficiency has an overwhelming and paralyzing effect on someone. The use of such metaphors can be found in informal speech or social media.
Actual translation completely changes the meaning of what he was saying. Not satisfied, I went back checking if anyone called this out when it happened, and they did.
And ultimately, this all led to the original writer of the IGN report giving a backhanded non-apology, avoiding the conversation of mistranslation, still perpetuating the lie, and upset over Game Science's lack of response.
Yep, that's what they do.
and that the game with a Monkey King and a bunch of anthropomorphic characters doesn't have enough femme-coded characters.
A what now?
And upset over Game Science's lack of response, and that the game with a Monkey King and a bunch of anthropomorphic characters doesn't have enough femme-coded characters.
Femme? What the fuck are femme-coded characters? Okay, so I took the liberty to look up what it meant, and apparently this is what it means, alright? A femme, originating from France, is a term traditionally used to describe a lesbian woman who exhibits a feminine ideology or gender representation. AKA, there's not enough woke garbage slop that they can't suck their dicks over. So yeah, IGN, you're pathetic. Please get bankrupt.
I am beyond myself. The gall to come forward and say something like maybe they don't want to say anything because they're afraid to say the wrong thing. What exactly is the wrong thing? Because apparently you already think they said it to begin with, even though it was all mistranslated and misrepresented in the first place. Sure, they may have said some crude things, but you don't understand their culture or the intricacies of their language and how they use colloquialisms and things like that. So you're just applying what you believe onto what they are saying.
Yep, this is why I said it, bro. Like, these journalists, they are just, like, their brains is just full of mush. Like, they don't think. They only feel, and they just write whatever the fuck they feel.
I'm appalled. It's just ridiculous is what it is. I'm shocked. I don't even really know how to respond to something like this. I think that Western critics and game journalists, not all of them, but some of them, view these Chinese-made games and games made in some other countries as a threat. Because these are studios that will not fall in line with whatever their narrative is.
Yep, they're not conquered by Black Rock. Now, if you don't know what Black Rock is, I'll Google it real quick. Right, Black Rock Company. So, Black Rock is a company, and it owns a shit ton of other companies, okay? So, here's an example. Nvidia, okay, Pfizer, what else is it? Like, something complete, Costco, like, Ford, you know, it owns a shit ton of companies, right? And what BlackRock does, BlackRock, allegedly, mind you, we don't have any confirmation, I think, of this fact, but there's a lot of speculations for it that BlackRock just sponsors all these games and all that with like these woke narrative-driven characters and stories. To make them extra woke, to make them in their image. So they basically just sponsor these games that get millions of dollars to make these games, to essentially do whatever they please with it, right? And that's when you get like other companies like Baby Inc. And that company, Baby Inc. has like different other companies that are spread out with the same narrative and the same motivations on storytelling and all that. Now, mind you, I am not really against any, I guess, woke storytelling if it's done well. Like, for example, Bon Clay. If you don't know One Piece, I'm gonna make a One Piece reference, but here, Bon Clay. Now, if I was against the woke culture, right? This guy's gay as hell, okay? Like, he is gay as hell. But holy shit, bro is a menace, okay? He is by far one of my favorite non-main characters in One Piece, period. Because simply for what he stands for what he does, for people that he cares about, his actions, he's just him, alright? And anyone who doesn't watch One Piece or haven't seen One Piece ever, they would be like, what the fuck, this guy is weird. That's the point, right? He's a weird dude, and he starts off with a weird dude, he could change it to other people. So he's a weird dude, right? But he's so much more underneath the surface. That's why Oda the GOAT. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not really against woke-centric stories, as long as they are written well. They are meaningful. They send a message that is positive to people in communities. Like, if you have a gay character, go for it. but write them well. Like, just because they're gay doesn't mean they're gonna fuck everything around them. Like, they're still just human beings that just, fall in love with the same gender. Like, I feel like it's not that hard to write these characters well, right? But anyway, BlackRock is not influencing these companies in China, right? So that's why they think it's a threat. Anyway, that's a long story short.
Is even if they are in the wrong, because there are times, and there have been times in the past, where the media was wrong about something, but still wanted and still pressured the studios to do something and say something that otherwise went against it.
Because you can't criticize a studio, or you can't criticize a company for mistakes. Because who are you going to criticize for? The person that, wrote the article? Okay, well, you can get fired, I guess, but then there's someone else that literally is just a carbon copy that literally just does his job is going to replace them. So it doesn't really help anything. Like, they can just keep firing and hiring a different guy that's going to, create the same slop stories and same garbage journalisms. Like, you can't really criticize them because they don't think they're in the wrong. Oh, well, we made a mistake. Oh, well, who cares? Make a mistake. All right, whoops. But you didn't address this thing that we care about, so they just don't care. And you can't really... you can't really punish these companies, these journalisms. Like, you just can't.
And that's exactly what they're trying to do now. Still running with the exact same narrative, even though it's already been disproven. What is the point of that?
Yeah, they did not do their research. They did not know that it was already disproven. Or if they did, they just don't care that it was disproven, because that ruins their whole agenda against the company.
Because now what they want is that even though it's been disproven, well, we still want you to tell us that you like women.
What the fuck? That's weird, bro.
What are you doing? What is the point of this? And even more so when you're putting out an article talking about the overall feeling of the game, how much you enjoyed the game, and then you have to put something like that in there. Like, we don't know what you're trying to do. Trying to spin a narrative around this game to make it feel like, man, you should probably feel bad about playing this game, guys.
Have there ever been like IGN reporters that like had got fired, or like they quit, came out saying like, yo, we want to do journalism, but IGN forced us to make this garbage? Has that ever been coming out? Or is every fucking person in IGN just complete morons that don't have any brain whatsoever?
You should feel bad about it. They're bad people over there. They say mean things on the internet. They say crude things on the internet. How dare they? I think the worst thing possible out of all the things that they said was there was an image of like a snake woman, like a lady that was like, her head was a regular person, but her body was like a snake. It was some like horror creature. Mm-hmm. And they were like, still would.
Come on, that's basic fucking meme culture, bro. Like, the most diabolical looking thing that remotely resembles something sexual, and people say would. Like, that's just meme culture, let's be honest.
Are you serious? What, like they're not allowed to be human and take part in meme culture? Are you serious? What is this?
No, they think they should be on a higher standard, which I think is a very valid opinion. I think whenever you're part of a company, your banter on Twitter or whatever should be more professional, because you're still linked to the company. You still represent the company in some way, shape, or form. So doing this like Woods memes on internet or social media while you are a pretty big company that a lot of people know about now and are, actively following the development of the game that they're excited about. I think you have to represent yourself a little bit better in that sense, right? But I don't think that's like career ending at all. It's just try to be more professional,
But like this, like thought policing and I don't know, man. Like I'm so happy that their position was, we're working on the demo right now, and that's the only thing that we want to talk about. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that actually matters. The game matters. What they do outside of that has no impact whatsoever on what consumers actually care about in the first place.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I think you should be a little bit more professional if you're like, you know, tweeting about a game that you're working on or anything like that. Stuff like that. You know. Now, if you would like make an alt account where nobody knows that you are the person that's like helping with programming the game or developing the game or whatever, you're part of the development team, right? Then it doesn't really matter that much because you're just a nobody at that point, right? But whenever your name is like open in the public or like your alias is open in public and people know who you are and where you work, I feel like you partly represent the company you work for, right? No, like I said, I don't think it's career ending. I just think it's a bit weird because just because you think it's pretty normal for, you know, for someone to do this on Twitter, for example, somebody who is never in their life has ever had a Twitter experience, they're gonna be like, what? First of all, they don't even know what would mean. They don't even understand the meme, right? But whenever somebody tells them, it's so weird to like explain because it's like a more of a inside joke kind of thing, even though a lot of like billions and billions of people actually know about it if you're like on social media a lot, but it's still weird to explain to people that don't understand it, right?
Some of these some of these journalists and games media heads wonder why they're losing subscribers, want to know why they're losing readers. Well, it's probably because of the fact you keep putting things in your articles and in these discussions that don't belong there in the first place.
Yep.
I originally went to go and read that article because it was talking about their first impressions, and I
make sure to use a ad blocker, otherwise they make money out of it. Don't do it. Don't give these people money.
I was just trying to gather a bunch of people's first impressions on the game. And then all of a sudden you want to go off on this tangent on something that was already disproven in the first place? What are we doing? What is this?
Yeah.
You know, this isn't the first time we've seen this. The Wizard game. Yeah, that's right. Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, God. Oh, my days. This was insane, bro. Oh my days, bro! The queer community was so against this game just because they disagree with the creator of the story. God damn, that was so pathetic.
Legacy. Game critics and journalists dogpiled this game as hard as they could,
and it still succeeded, mind you. Hell, I think it succeeded because they were hating. It's like the opposite effect. Whenever you pull a string or you pull like a rubber band, right? Eventually it snaps back harder. That's how it went. That's how it worked.
Wired.com gave it a 1 out of 10, not because of the gameplay.
Nope.
Not because of the aesthetics.
Nope.
But because of the fact that J.K. Rowling had something to do with it,
yep.
Even though they're just the creator of the source material. And
for real, she didn't have any, like, help in the development at all. Like, she didn't help anything. She didn't do anything in the game. They only used the universe of her story. That's it.
Actually had nothing to do with the actual creation of the video game, but that didn't matter. Meanwhile,
she didn't even help write stuff, by the way. I at least, hold on, before I like start saying things. Game website also said that authors J.K. Rowling was not involved directly in the creation of the game. There you go. See, I speaking facts, all right? I'm only speaking facts, and if I don't speak facts, I'm trying to be accurate.
While a slew of other reviewers boycotted even reviewing the game in the first place. Some magazines didn't even post reviews whatsoever. And many of those that did actually review it still made sure to drop a little piece of their mind about J.K. Rowling in the reviews.
Of course.
What are the chances that we see the same thing with Black Myth Wukong? Is it going to suffer the same fate?
No, I don't think that's going to happen because J.K. Rowling was already hated by a majority of people. However, these developers from this game, they... I feel like everyone was disagreeing with this article, right? Surely everyone was disagreeing with this bullshit. Everyone was like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, these are like harmless jokes, right? Otherwise, there's morons that, you know, don't support it or do support it. But there's always morons, let's be honest.
Regardless of how many people tried to derail Hogwarts Legacy, it ended up being the first title in 15 years to beat Call of Duty in sales, selling 23 million copies in 2023, proving that social issues have no impact whatsoever on what games players want to play and what they want to buy. Hell, back when Activision Blizzard went through their major controversy, the players that were leaving the game weren't leaving because of what happened at the company. They were quitting because the game sucked.
Yep.
And as soon as they came out with a new expansion, the vast majority of the players returned to the game. I think that there are those in media today that are afraid of losing influence, afraid of games, studios, and publishers that they can't pressure in some way, shape, or form.
Which I don't get, because the majority of these companies are supported by the gamers, right? They're not supported by these morons from Twitter that think everything needs to be woke. They're supported by the people that buy the games, right? And if you make slop games with terrible fucking queer representation, nobody's gonna buy them. Hell, even people that are queer that want that shit, they're not gonna buy it because it's garbage. It's awfully written. It's awfully... Okay, there's no character development whatsoever. These characters are fucking shallow as shit. Like, the character designs look awful. It just straight up just... There's no, like, heart or passion in it at all. Like, I don't get how they don't understand that. Right? They're making huge losses on these games. Huge losses on these games. Eventually, they're gonna be like, you know what? BlackRock, I thank you for all the money you donated to our games, but these games have not, they didn't make money. So we need to change the perspective, you know? We need to change something because this is not happening. And then BlackRock's gonna be fucking pissed because, well, they're not gonna get the games that they want, right?
If the readers aren't listening and the game makers don't listen either, then their relevance is nothing more than a flickering candle in the wind and they're running out of wick.
Yep.
There is no verifiable proof of Game Science mistreating their employees. And the only thing that you have to go off of are some jokes that they had made on the internet that any other human would make. Things that you see all of the time.
Yep.
Creating victims out of thin air. What's probably worse for them is the truth that they're coming to realize. Customers only care about the value of the product itself and not how it was made or who it was made by. Catering to these niche audiences who actually do buy things based on morals is useless because likely they don't even exist in the first place, and even if they did, they probably don't even play video games. This is only another factor that devalues the perspective and the voice of traditional games media and reviewers. And I know that there are good professional journalists and reviewers that are out there, but I wish that they were calling this kind of stuff out, especially the writer from IGN and The Guardian, because this is only serving to damage their credibility and the credibility of all games media.
There's no credibility, bro. Nobody takes IGN serious. Nobody takes these game journalists serious. Like, there's no credibility at all. Like, nobody takes them serious anyways. They still exist because morons click on the website that don't have an ad block on. And they get money from, like, reading these garbage fucking articles that are they're pretty much making clickbait, let's be honest.
The lack of independent thought and reasoning within games media today is staggering. It just blows my mind. At this point, I cannot wait for Black Myth Wukong to come out. Not because I can't wait to play it, which obviously I can't wait to play it, but just to see the hot takes. Because you know for a fact, because for how long some of these different articles, journalists, and media sites have been running this headline and running with this narrative, you know they're going to be including that stuff going forward. Still trying to ask and find out, yeah, but you still didn't say that, you know, it doesn't reflect on your studio or anything like that. What does that even matter? Like, they haven't made a joke or a crude joke or anything like that in the past. It's so...
They're like making these people like stand on a pedestal, and whenever they do something that is like barely wrong, they're gonna be like, oh, you need to be perfect. Like, shut up. Nobody's perfect. And even then, these jokes were not even harmful at all.
Disingenuous. And that's one of the reasons why the vast majority of people have just completely turned off of reading articles or IGN or any of these companies anymore.
Correct.
Is because it's so disingenuous. It's so fake. It's so fake. You don't care about any of these things. You're just searching for a headline that you hope will get clicks. That's all it is.
Yep.
Everybody can see it. Everybody knows it. And most of this stuff now, you're just making it up out of thin air. It's just even worse. Because now it's not only that, you know, we didn't find you entertaining, right? So we stopped reading because of that. But now we can't even trust.
Also, you know what is funny? They're always like about inclusion this, inclusion that. Meanwhile, they didn't have a fucking decent fucking translator that can read Chinese correctly and translate it to them. Is that funny? Is that funny? So you argue always about this whole like inclusivity and stuff, but IGN doesn't have a fucking translator that can speak Chinese. I think that's hilarious. Hypocrisy is crazy.
Trust the words that you say because you're just going to say whatever you want to hopefully try to get somebody to look at what you're saying. What's funny is, and I should have brought this up, I might end up making another video about this, but recently I just saw that PC Gamer put out an article talking about putting community notes on YouTube videos and how this games writer was talking about how you know how much YouTubers like to lie. Pot calling the kettle black.
Not gonna lie, like there's a lot of things that happened on Twitter that were not very satisfactory, but the Twitter notes, they are a godsend. And honestly, I think every social media needs this, like, exposing liar fucking notes on everything, bro. I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
Meanwhile, none of these journalists seem to hold each other accountable. You guys ever notice that? You see YouTubers all the time. They'll go back and forth. If somebody will say something, they'll hold them honest. They'll make videos on it, obviously.
Because everyone still ridicules YouTubers. They say it's not a job. It's not hard. It's not this, not that. Get a real job. You're pathetic. You're a clown. You're a child. You're not a grown up. That's only because they are jealous because people are actually pursuing their dreams and their ambitions, and they actually have the motivation and the energy to actually pursue these visions and dreams. They're jealous. That's why they snap on you about that. That's why they hate YouTubers or dislike YouTubers or call them childish or call them this or call them that. And just like with journalism, I mean, nobody criticizes journalists because nobody takes them serious. Why would you criticize a child for saying something wrong when they literally just learned how to speak? Like, it makes no sense.
Obviously, they can farm it, but you don't often see any of these games journalists ever going after one another for anything. Somebody writes a bad article or they lie about something or misrepresent something, nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah, because they're all doing it. They will be hypocritical, and people are gonna literally call you out on it. Like, being a hypocrite is like one of the most evil things you can do on the internet right now, because it contradicts your, like, if you contradict anything in your life, you're a hypocrite and you are not meant to be taken seriously at all, because you either change your mind or change your opinion, or you are a genuine hypocrite, right? Oh, those three, it doesn't matter. If you change your mind, hypocrite. If you change your opinion, hypocrite. If you are a hypocrite, hypocrite. You know, like, there's no winning.
At least not on the professional side.
No.
I mean, they could call that professionalism. I could call it dishonest.
It is dishonest, yeah.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to Black Myth Wukong. What about you guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't wait to play it just now.
Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for watching.
All right. Appreciate the video, man. Make sure to check out Legendary Drops. He made a very good video. Link will be in the description below. And yeah. Like I said, bro, this is just a whole nothing sandwich. Like every single time. It's always a whole nothing sandwich. And they're just mad that they made a great looking game that has a lot of hype to it instead of their queer coded games that nobody likes. That's just how it is.